Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com, and I am back today to talk Kansas City Chiefs and the wide receiver trade market. So I was planning on making this video last night, waited till this morning, and I wanted to discuss the possibility of the Chiefs trading one of their higher draft picks for a proven wide receiver before the draft, given there's a handful of disgruntled receivers out there that might be looking for a new team, and the Chiefs obviously have a lot of draft capital. Now, I planned to make this video before even finding out the news from today, which you guys all know now, that Deebo Samuel of the San Francisco 49ers has requested a trade. And I'll give my thoughts on that, and I know a report already came out from Josina Anderson, who's pretty well sourced, saying that the Chiefs are not actively pursuing Deebo Samuel. That could be true, that could not be true, but I did want to discuss the overall possibility of the Chiefs trading for a proven wide receiver before the draft. So before anything, let's talk about why the Chiefs would do this, the pros and the cons, and why it's reasonable, if it even is considered reasonable at all. Firstly, the more that I read the news and soak in what analysts are saying, conducting my own mock draft, seeing who's always available at pick 29 and 30, I get kind of concerned that by the time the Chiefs get to their pick at 29 and or 30, that the receiver pool is going to be relatively underwhelming. The top guys like Pickens, Olave, Williams, they could be gone by then. And I know a lot of you are big fans of guys like Christian Watson out of North Dakota State. He's not worth a first-round pick to me. He is super raw. I've shared my opinion on him before. I don't really think he's worth a first-round pick, but it might get to the point in the draft where the Chiefs really need a receiver, okay? And the guys that they want are gone by pick 29 and 30, like the guys they really wanted, and they have to end up settling for a guy like Christian Watson. But also, if Christian Watson or Jahan Dotson or somebody like that is still there, then if they try to wait till their next second round pick where taking a player like that is more reasonable, they're probably not going to be there anymore because those picks you have are at the back ends of every round. So it's a difficult call to make if you are Brett Veach. And that's why a lot of people have talked about trading up, and there's been a lot of smoke about the Chiefs maybe trading up for one of the top wide receivers because that might be what they have to do to go and get one. I've long been against the move because I feel like you're combining too many assets into one to move up and fill a singular need. And that's why the Hill trade is still difficult for me to stomach, because a lot of this capital that you would have garnered in the Tyreek Hill trade is being used to fill the hole that you created by trading Tyreek Hill. To me, it's kind of poor asset management. And the same thing could be said about a potential trade. If you weren't willing to pay Tyreek Hill and keep him, why are you then willing to trade a bunch of assets that you got to go and get a receiver and pay him pretty handsomely? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Or does it? Hear me out. So I think something we have to try and remember is that the Chiefs weren't not willing to pay Tyreek Hill. When they began the offseason, the initial goal was to sign Tyreek Hill long term. It just got to a point in negotiations where everything broke down, and the Davante Adams deal changed things, okay? Davante Adams got nearly $30 million per year. He got a lot of guaranteed money. Tyreek Hill also got a lot of guaranteed money in his new deal with the Dolphins. The Chiefs just had a breaking point where they said, we're not going to pay that. And that's when they started helping Tyreek Hill to look around. But let's not forget, the Chiefs' original plan was to keep Tyreek Hill. They did not have a problem paying Tyreek Hill. So when you talk about a potential trade for a proven wide receiver, saying that the Chiefs don't want to pay a lot of money, I don't necessarily think that is true. I think they're willing to pay for a wide receiver if the right one comes along. The tricky thing, if you're going to trade for one, though, is to make sure you're not giving up too many assets. Because if you were able to, a hypothetical trade for Deebo Samuel, who's the hottest name right now. If the Chiefs traded pick 29 and maybe one of their seconds for Deebo Samuel, I think that would be fair, but it also wouldn't be draining your assets to where you're overpaying for him. Like, you don't want to give up all the capital that you got from the Tyreek Hill trade to go and get Deebo Samuel, especially when Deebo Samuel isn't even as good as Tyreek Hill. But let's say it's a first and a second, but the Chiefs keep all the other picks that they also got. Well, then look at it this way. It's like you're trading Tyreek Hill for Deebo Samuel and some picks. While Deebo Samuel might be a downgrade from Tyreek Hill, he's still very good, and he probably won't be as expensive. He'll still be pretty expensive. He's looking for a new deal, but Ian Rappaport said today that him wanting out of San Francisco wasn't necessarily about the money. It was about the way he is being used, which is another conversation. But I don't think he would be as expensive as Tyreek Hill. So when I say that the Chiefs don't mind paying big for a wide receiver, I don't think a big potential price tag for a receiver will turn them away. I really don't. But a lot of you seem convinced that the Chiefs are embracing this new era where they have more cap space. They're focused on the draft. They want to get younger, and that I completely understand. And if they can hit on those draft picks, it will look really good, and I will be happy that it worked out. I want it to work out. But obviously, those draft picks are a massive gamble. And as I was saying earlier, with the picks that the Chiefs have, you might be in a situation, an awkward situation at the bottom of the first round where the top receivers aren't really there and you'd probably be reaching on somebody. And I don't want that for this team. I don't want that much pressure being put on who we pick in the draft, especially when our GM, Brett Veach, and I know this is kind of a controversial topic, isn't the best at drafting. I'm not saying he's bad at drafting. He's probably somewhere in the middle. But you have to hit on these picks for that approach to be successful, to be considered successful. You don't have to hit on every single one, but you need to make the most of those top 100 picks, especially when you have gaping holes at premium positions like defensive end. You need a wide receiver. You need cornerback. There's a lot of needs on this team. But I'm kind of going off on a different tangent. So back to the topic, which is, should the Chiefs trade, or could the Chiefs trade for a proven wide receiver before the draft? You know, if they did this, again, it would kind of be looked at as bad asset management, and I understand that. But it got to a point with Tyreek Hill where the Chiefs decided that he was not worth what he was asking for, and they were able to get picks back and create a little bit of cap relief. If they use some of that to get a player that's still pretty good, but not quite Tyreek Hill, not quite as expensive as Tyreek Hill, then, you know, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. And there's a lot of options out there too. I mean, I just mentioned Deebo Samuel specifically because he's the one that has officially requested a trade, and we know for sure that he is available. But there's also A.J. Brown of the Tennessee Titans. Things don't seem to be going very well there and those contract negotiations, And then there's Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders. There's been a lot of buzz that he may not be sticking around. They could look to trade him. So there's disgruntled receivers out there, and those are all some pretty big names that we like. Those are all guys that came from the same draft class, that were all taken around the same pick that McCole Hardman was. The Chiefs could potentially correct the mistake that was taking McCole Hardman over some of those guys, or instead of some of those guys. And why not have both of them? I mean, you still have McCole on this team, so it's something to consider. But I almost feel like this is something we should be paying more attention to, because Brett Veach has pulled off some pre-draft trades in recent years, and he did it just last year, trading for Orlando Brown a week before the draft, when we were all saying, what is he going to do at left tackle? I'm not sure if the options in the draft are great. That's what we said last year about left tackle. I don't know if they can get a starting left tackle at 31. Brett Veach also agreed with that, and that's why he went and traded for Orlando Brown. Maybe he does the same thing with a wide receiver. Obviously, he's not afraid to do that, and obviously he's not afraid to trade for players that need a new contract. So I wanted to bring that up and discuss it a little bit, but I definitely want to get your guys' thoughts. What do you think of my idea that I brought up in this video? Do you agree, disagree with anything I said? Is there anyone out there that you guys have a preference for when it comes to a veteran wide receiver? Let me know. But all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And make sure you check out my work on ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com. I will see you all in the next one.